Good day everyone, this is the life and works of Rizal. I am Kenneth Espilo and here are my members. Elena Orteliana, Ekan Maghari, Rosana Santillan and Rubian Villanueva.
The loves of Jose Rizal during his teenage years. Segunda katimbak, Rizal first love. Jose Rizal was only a young boy of 16 when he first fell in love, and it was with Segunda katimbak, a girl from Lipa, Batangas, and 2 years his juniors. According, she was rather short with eyes that were eloquent and ardent at times and liquid at others, rosy cheek with an enchanting and provocative smile that revealed very beautiful teeth and the air of self. Her entire self diffused a mysterious joy. Leonor Valenzuela, Private Letters. When Rizal was a sophomore at the University of Santo Tomas and was boarding in the house of Donna Concha Leyva in Intramuros, he met Leonor Orang Valenzuela, his next-door neighbor and daughter of Capitan Juan and Capitana Sandy Valenzuela. She was a tall girl who carried herself with a grace and elegance. Leonor Rivera, the first engagement. Leonor Rivera was a young lady from Camiling and a cousin of Jose Rizal. Leonor's father had provided from and board in Casa Tomasena, Intramuros for Jose Rizal when the youth was still starting his third year at the university. The young girl, while then a student at La Conchana College, where Soledad Rizal's little sister was also studying. Osisan Love at First Sight. When the Rizal was in Tokyo a few days after he had moved to the Azabo district in 1880, he spotted a pretty Japanese girl walking past the Legion Gate. She was captured by the lady regal air and charisma and endeavored to find ways to meet her. The girl's name was Seiko Yusai. She lived with her parents and often took afternoon walks by the legation. Rizal waited at the gate one afternoon and introduced himself. Consuelo Ortega Y. Perez, A Sacrifice for Friendship. In 1882, when Rizal was a student at the University de Central de Madrid, he frequented the home of Don Pablo Ortega Y. Rey, the former city mayor of Manila. He lived with his son Rafael and his daughter Consuelo. Gertrude Beckett, a chiseled beauty. In May 1880, Rizal visited London for a short time, boarding the house of the Beckett family, Mr. and Mrs. Beckett, their 2 sons, and their 4 daughters. The eldest daughter was named Gertrude. Suzanne Jacobi, A Love Unrequited. On January 28, 1890, Rizal left for Brazil, Belgium. He stayed for a considerable time, paying for room and board. His landlady had a pretty niece named Petite Suzanne Jacobi. She was taken by Rizal's charm and gallantry and provided him good company. Rizal could have flirted with the lady, considering that his beloved Leonor was far away and he was a lonely man in a strange and foreign land, but he realized that could not deceive her love. Nelly boasted a failed proposal. In 1891, Rizal took a vacation in Beatriz in order to find reprieve from his trouble in Madrid. He was a guest of the Boasted family in their winter. Villa Iliada, Mr. and Mrs. Boasted had 2 beautiful daughters, Adelina and Nelly. Josephine Bracken, True Love in Excel. Rizal's exile in Dapitan was one of the most lonesome and sorrowful periods of his life. He missed the company of his friends and family, and the death of Leonor Rivera on August 28, 1893 left a gaping void in his heart. Josephine Bracken arrived at the shore of Dapitan accompanying her blind adopted father, Mr. George Taufer. No ophthalmologist in Hong Kong, their home country, could cure the man's blindness, and so they sought the service of the famous of Dr. Jose Rizal. Overcoming barriers, Rizal and Josephine fell in love at first sight. The romantic interlude went on for about a month, after which they decided to marry. The priest of Dapitan, however, refused to conduct the ceremony without consent from the Bishop of Cebu. Exchanging vows, Mr. Topper went back to Hong Kong alone, and Josephine stayed in Manila with Rizal family. At length, she returned to Dapitan. Since no priest would marry them, Rizal and Josephine held hands, exchanged vows, and married themselves of God. The loss of child. Rizal and Josephine lived together in Dapitan as husband and wife. In early 1896, they were expecting a baby. Unfortunately, Josephine had to go into premature labor after Rizal played a prank and threatened her. A little boy of 8 months was born, who lived for only 3 hours. Rizal named him Francisco in honor of his father and buried the child in Dapitan.
Rizal in Europe, his journey and experiences. First trip to Europe. Pasiano and Uncle Antonio, May 1, 1882, left the Philippines without permission from his parent, a secret only to his parent but not to his friend and other relatives. Rizal was the only Indio on the Salvadora. Rizal traveled alone to Europe, Madrid in May 1882. Continued his studies in medicine at Universidad Central de Madrid. Degree of Licentiate in Medicine in 1884. Degree of Philosophy and Letters in 1885. Barcelona. Rizal arrived at Barcelona on afternoon of July 16, 1882. Rizal stayed Barcelona from June 16, 1882 until the late part of the year. Wrote El Amor Patrio and on August 20 as his first publication abroad and sent to his friend Basilio Teodoro of Jariang Tagalog. Rizal left Barcelona for Madrid in the end of 1882.
Madrid. Rizal enrolled at Universidad Central de Madrid of September 2, 1882 and took medical clinic, surgical clinic, legal medicine, and obstetrical clinic. He also joined Circulo Hispano-Filipino, a group of Philippine students in Madrid. He was with Marcelo del Pilar Juan Luna, Graciano Lopez Hena, and he also wrote Mipid verses. They asked me for verse, the last dudas as Dalaong Laan. Rizal boarded in a train to Paris where he could spend summer vacation time. He will be in a mission to study the life and laws in Europe for Filipino liberation versus Spanish imperialism. Spain as realization. It was a venue for realizing Rizal's dream. He finished his studies in Madrid at his to him realization for a bigger part of his ambition. His vision broadened to the point awakening him in understanding a human nature, sparking in him realization that his people needed him. It must have been a sentimental that prompted him to pursue during the re-negotiational meeting of Circulo Hispano-Filipino to be one of its activities, the publication of book to which all members would contribute papers on the various aspects and conditions of the Philippines life.
Noli Me Tangere. Noli Me Tangere is an 1887 novel by Filipino writer and activist Jose Rizal, published during the Spanish colonial period of the Philippines. Author of the novel, Jose Rizal. Main characters are Maria Clara, Padre Damaso, Capitan Tiago, Crisostomo Ibarra, and Elias. Genres are novel, fiction, satire. Original languages are Spanish and Latin. Now, what is Noli Me Tangere? Noli Me Tangere is Latin for Touch Me Not. In this modern classic of Filipino literature, Jose Rizal exposes matters so delicate that they cannot be touched by anybody, unfolding an epic history of the Philippines that has made it the country's most influential political novel in the 19th and 20th century. Jose Rizal as the national hero of the Philippines, he completed Noli Me Tangere in Spanish in 1887 while he was studying in Europe. Rizal continued to write, completing a second novel, many other poems and essays, until he was executed by firing squad in 1896. Since then, Noli Me Tangere has appeared in French, Chinese, German, and Philippine languages. Two other English translations have made Noli Me Tangere accessible. But Lacson Locsin's new translation offered here is the first to work from proximal edition of the manuscript and to restore significant section of the original text. The result is the most authoritative and faithful English translation to date. What is the story of Noli Me Tangere all about? Jose Rizal's Noli Me Tangere was all about the description of the Spanish colonization here in the Philippines and how the Spanish treated Filipinos badly. It followed the story of Crisostomo Ibarra, who came from Europe to study and return to the Philippines after his 7 years of journey.
Rizal first homecoming 1887 to 1888. Because of the publication of the Noli Me Tangere and the uproar it caused among the friars, Rizal was warned by Pasiano, his brother, Silvestre Ubaldo, his brother-in-law, Chingoy or Jose M. Cecilio, and the other friends not return to home.
Rizal was determined to return to the Philippines for the following reasons: to operate on his mother's eye, to serve his people who had long been oppressed by Spanish tyrants, to find out for himself how Noli and his other writings were affecting Filipinos and Spaniards in the Philippines, and to inquire why Leonor Rivera remained silent. July 29, 1887, Rizal wrote to his father announcing his homecoming on the 15th of July. I shall embark for our country so that from the 15th to the 30th of August we shall see each other. Delightful trip to Manila. Rizal left Rome by train for Marseilles, a French port which he reached without mishap. July 3, 1887, Rizal boarded the steamer Demna, the same steamer which brought him to Europe 5 years ago. July 13, 1887, at Saigon, Rizal transferred to another steamer, Haiphong, which was Manila-bounded. August 2, 1887, the steamer left Saigon for Manila. Arrival in Manila. August 3, 1887, the moon was full and Rizal slept soundly the whole night. The calm sea, illuminated by the silvery moonlight, was a magnificent sight to him. Near midnight of August 5, 1887, the Haiphong arrived in Manila. Happy Homecoming. August 8, 1887, Rizal returned to Calamba. In Calamba, Rizal established a medical clinic. His first patient was his mother, who was almost blind. Rizal, who came to be called Dr. Oliman because he came from Germany, treated their ailments, and soon he acquired a lucrative medical practice. Rizal opened a gymnasium for young folks where he introduced European sports. Rizal suffered one failure during his 6 months of sojourn in Calamba, his failure to see Leonor Rivera.